In this video, I'm going to show you a couple tricks, tips, and techniques that I like to use whenever I design an online handout or worksheet that is to be used in a one-to-one Chromebook or laptop classroom. So, very first thing that I do is first of all, I think about why is it that all of our online handouts and documents are always in the portrait mode, right? Think about it for a second. All of our computer screens are all in the landscape horizontal mode. And so I like to be able to use as much of the screen real estate as possible. The very first thing that I do is change the page setup from this portrait mode to go over to File, Page Setup, to the landscape mode. Click OK. So I went to File, Page Setup, Landscape, clicked OK. And now it just fits the screen a little bit better. On these small Chromebook screens, it can. I think it's kind of important to be able to do this for our students. They can see it a little bit better. Take a look too. It's really far away. The other little thing that not a lot of people do is you can very quickly bring everything close and fill up that screen right up here. So I'm going to click on this little 50% zoom, and I like to click on Fit, and it fits into the screen no matter the size of your screen. All right, so I always create my handouts within tables, combinations of tables and text, and this one's no exception. Let me explain what this handout is. I think it's kind of a good idea. I just thought of this. So my problem is that my students do a bell ringer every single week, and it's really difficult to give them feedback and to get a grade, like a participation grade from them. And so I feel like I could have a collaborative opportunity here with my bell ringer opportunity. So take a look. Here it is, a bunch of tables. Now there's different things that you can do with these tables. I like to always put a header into any of my documents, and I always put my header into one of these tables here. Now take a look. This probably doesn't look like any header that you've ever seen, right? Well, the secret here is to get rid of the lines of the table. People don't need to know it's a table. I just use the table to organize different elements. In this case, what will eventually be a picture in this column and my title on the left. So I'm going to select both of these columns with my cursor, and then notice how when I select these columns, this little drop-down menu appears. Take a look. Click on that, and I can select all of the lines very quickly from this table with a click of my mouse. And then what I'm going to do is come over here to the weight of the line. Right now it's currently at 1 point. If I put it to 0 points, the table disappears, but the structure it gives me is still there. All right, so like I said, I'm going to put a picture into this side, right? Earlier, I went into Google Drawings and I created a little bell ringer picture. How did I do that? Really, all this is a picture that I got online. It's on a transparent background, and it is labeled for reuse, and so I have the rights to be able to use it. And then the rest of it is really just a series of concentric circles that I put down and change the color to. Align everything up real easily, and if you download it, go to File, and where is it? Download as a PNG file. It will save the transparency of the circles that it's on, and I can insert it. So take a look. Let's do that now. Go back over here, put my cursor where I want the image to go, insert, file, upload, and it's on my desktop. Oh, it's too big. Don't worry, I can select, and I can make it smaller. It's probably still a little too big too, right? So the very first thing, like I said, is I changed the page setup to landscape mode. And then the next thing I do is really think about the fonts. Notice how now my header is all crazy, right? This text is in that invisible table now. I'd actually like to push it down to the bottom of that table. So let's select this, change the font first. I like really simple fonts, like Lato, or Lato is one of my favorites right now. Let's make this bigger since it is a title. Click bold. Now I'm going to take my 2 fingers on my trackpad of my laptop, and I'm going to push down. Oops. Let me push down. There we go. When I do that, a submenu comes up, and I want to go to Table Properties. Take a look. Click on Table Properties, and this is where I care about right here. the cell vertical alignment, right? Right now, currently, that title is at the top of my table. I can push it down to either the middle of the table or at the bottom of the table. Click right there, and it's pushed down. Looks pretty good. All right, so let's worry about the rest of the text so that it matches, or rather the font, so that it matches everything else. I'm going to Command A or Control A to select everything, right? With my finger, just Command A for all. I select all. And then let's change everything to that font. Looks good to me. All right, let's look at the direction. Fill in your name and the name of your assigned peer reviewer into the green and blue boxes below, these two boxes. Answer the questions throughout the week. Here's the questions. The questions would be written by the teacher. Students would write in the answers and eventually get peer feedback on Fridays from their peer reviewer. On the and that's part of the instructions. On the last day of class, be prepared to provide and receive feedback to and from your peer. Okay, so I like to use lots of different colors too. Not just in the pictures, right, in this bell picture, but also in the tables themselves. I can use those pictures to direct students' attention to different areas. For example, in the instructions I said, hey, write your name in the green box. I like to bold these color directions and then highlight them too with the highlighter tool. So I'm going to select green. I'll come up to the highlighter tool and a light green so students can still read it, right? Let's do the same thing with blue. Let's highlight the word blue. Now let's fill in these two cells with those corresponding colors. So my name should be green. I'm going to select this cell, and then I'm going to come up to the paint bucket, change it to green. Let's do the same thing with the one below. Ooh, not bad, right? We can make this look a little prettier, right? Let's align this text to the right, and then I actually want to get rid of these lines, just like we did with that header from earlier. Let's get rid of the lines entirely. 0. I'm liking that. Notice here on this side, the lines are still there, so let's get rid of those. I'm going to select the two cells rather, select the down drop, and then I'll select just those lines on the right. And let's change the weight. In fact, I'd like to do that with my other table down here. Let's take me 1 second to do. I don't know, just kind of looks better, doesn't it? Select that line, change the weight. Okay, here we go. Now the next part. Whenever there is, the header of my table, I like to make it dark. And so let's center it first. Let's change it from regular to bold, and then let's paint bucket this so that the color is darker. Since the color now is darker, let's change the color of the text to lighter. So I'm going to go make sure that it's still selected, which it is, right? It's kind of hard to read now. So I'm going to select the text, and let's change it to white. It looks pretty good now. All right, and then what I always like to do too in my tables is I like to alternate, just to kind of break up the space a little bit, alternate between white and kind of a lighter gray. So since, let's say we go from dark, this row is dark, this next one should be white, and then I'm thinking this one should be, how about we do it like a light gray? It just kind of alternates between these two. Gosh, if you wanted to make it not gray, a different color, that would be fine too. Finally, I thought this would be kind of an innovative idea here. So we're going to use this form to input your peer's participation grade for the week, bell ringer grades. So I thought this was kind of an idea. Take a form, make a form within Google Forms, put an area for the student to write down their name, their peer's name, and the link to their doc, right? And then finally, the grade that they received for the week. I was thinking we could go over the questions or have some sort of a rubric with my students. They could grade each other's work and then input the grade very simply using this form. So let's select this, 2 fingers on the trackpad. Whoops. There we go. To copy it, pull up that sub menu, and we'll come back over here. Let's hyperlink this. So I'm going to select the area that I like to hyperlink, and 2 fingers on the trackpad, pull up the submenu to create that link. I'm Remember, I copied the link from before. Now we'll just paste it in. And blam, at the end of the week, the students will be very quickly be able to get to that and access that form so that they can input their participation grades of the person that they graded. But yeah, this is my good-looking, not bad, right? Peer-reviewed bell ringer, interactive, collaborative handout.